Reporters scour Reddit for the next news story because they're running out of ideas overnight. So if there's any way to get reporter eyeballs onto these, like onto your startup, you're going to get reported on. People actually search in the subreddit bar. They use Reddit as a search engine. And ranking on Reddit is so easy because it's just recency and upvote. In the last year, directly attributed from YouTube is 500K in profit. It's insane.
This guy makes $200,000 a year entirely from SEO. How he does this is he owns a portfolio of companies that all specialize in doing something related to SEO, whether that's link building or content writing or also affiliate. And today on the show, he's going to share all these different tactics that he uses to create this revenue for his company. But I think the thing you're going to find most interesting is how he does partnerships with established brands to create a new stream of revenue for them by spinning up an affiliate program for them on their website, where he just takes a rev share of the new revenue that he generates for the company. His name's Jackie Chu, and he's the founder of a company called Indexy. And this episode is brought to you by Swell AI. Swell AI is content repurposing powered by AI. Go to swellai.com to sign up for free. It's also brought to you by DraftHorse AI. DraftHorse helps you write hundreds of SEO-optimized articles in minutes. And it's also brought to you by LandingCat.com. LandingCat helps you automatically create Shopify collection pages based off of long-tail keywords related to your product catalog. Go to LandingCat.com to learn more. All right, let's get started with today's show.
Jackie, what's good, man? How you doing?
All good here. All good here. Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely, brother, dude. Stoked to have you. Where are you calling in from?
Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, hell yeah. One of the most beautiful cities in the world. Underrated.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. A bit of rain, but yeah,
I feel
pretty
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, I'm from the Northwest originally, so I kind of miss it. We're living in Denver right now, and they have like 300 days of sun or whatever, and it's like, it's nice, but there's moments where I'm like, fuck, I kind of miss the like dreary, you're going to sit inside and just like drink coffee all day and kind of work, honestly. But I don't know if you ever feel that. I know most Canadians go down south, right? Like they go to Mexico or one of these places to kind of escape it.
Way too often. Cancun way too often. But yeah, that's not me. I
Basically
think I'd rather
a resident.
I know I'd rather be somewhere sunny, I think, but it's all right.
Totally.
It's also up to the missus, so
I understand. I totally feel that. But we'll see, man. For the people who don't know you, you're, prolific, first off, but you publicly show like you make 200K a month on all of your internet businesses. I think that's the number. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just gangster. You're doing a bunch of different stuff in this space, specifically like deep understanding of SEO. My favorite part about what you're doing is all these like public tests that you kind of run in across all of your, both on social and on YouTube, et cetera. But for the people who haven't, consumed your content in the past or interacted with you before, what do you kind of, what's your, the top 3 bullet points of what you're working on, what you guys do?
Yeah. So I think at a high level, we help companies make more money via organic, and we can probably out monetize most companies out there as well. So for example, if you own a legacy newspaper, and we get approached by a lot of them and they need to make money like ASAP because legacy media is going down the drain, we'd help with that via creating affiliate articles, so on and so forth, and monetizing on those like very heavily. So that's like, I think our main bread and butter right now. That's what makes the most money. And then we have an agency on top of that. But the agency isn't that interesting because, they're a dime a dozen right now. So yeah, it's whatever.
So I feel like you've been talking about this like Forbes advisor stuff and have like a deep knowledge of this. And it's funny, I was talking to a friend yesterday and I told him I was having you on the show, and he was like, we were discussing how it feels like you're doing what Forbes Advisor's doing, but with these companies, going in and almost partnering with them and being like, yo, we'll run out these, affiliate plays or whatever that ends up being, kind of building out these monetization strategies for them. How did you stumble onto that? Or like, what kind of was the initial way that you guys realized like, oh, this was going to be an opportunity for us to begin with?
Yeah, I think, during the COVID ZERP era, a lot of companies raised a ton of money. And then they just didn't have product market fit, but they sunk so much VC money into like PR, into marketing, so on and so forth. So that's really good for SEO, but not so good for their core product. So there was this one company that raised like freaking $30 million for some health tech startup that didn't have a great product market fit, but they were running out of like runway. So they approached me saying, "Hey, Jackie, we have this domain. We get so like 500K a month in traffic. We need to monetize this pronto." And we were able to like scale from, I think they were making like 10K, 15K a month from AdSense. We were able to scale up to like 400 something K a month in like 3 months. It's pretty crazy.
Insane.
But then the thing is, so many companies, especially VC backed, are sitting on like gold mines of domains that they don't even know about. It's insane. Like any article they post on their blog will rank, and then they just don't post for some reason. It's free right now. So
dude,
I don't
I
get
tell
what people are doing.
startups this that we work with all the time. I'm like, the biggest asset you have is that you can get a backlink from everybody in their portfolio, like any of your investors' portfolios, and also their sites, right? So it's like
Yeah.
I mean, I've taken DAs from like 0 to like 70 in like weeks, that just by basically doing guest blog posts across these other sites that are already have these huge portfolios. And full transparency, I'm actually like shit at link building. I think that's my weakest thing on the SEO side. My background is way more in like, cool, let's find everything long tail and like kind of scale out the operation side. So when I was at Rupa Health, which was like the last company I worked, they just sold today. Actually, I got the email. So
nice.
it was wild. Kind of I texted a friend, like a bunch of people that I initially worked with just became millionaires, just like liquid overnight, which is kind of a wild thing to see happen. But anyway, what we did was like, we had to use all of these like basically writers that were like physicians, because that's the type of content that we were having to produce. But I think that looking back on it, like they didn't even realize like what they were going to create with this. And like now they have, I mean, I think they do, the last time I talked to them, it was like over 3 million sessions a month. And it's like in these like extremely valuable spaces of health. Right. And these companies, like, they don't even realize this. They don't, like, the founders don't even understand that like is something that is, I mean, it should be a budget line item, right, on the sale, like the domain and the value of all that traffic. But how do you talk to them about that, and like thinking about like, how do you value this?
Yeah, it's a hard conversation to have, if I'm being perfectly honest, especially if it's not part of their core product or core strategy. You just have to sell it like this. Let's say, I think the best example is like of an e-com company. Let's say I have my current e-com company does, let's say, 100K a month. It's roughly around there. But from affiliate, you can generate about 10K a month. That typically doesn't sound interesting to a founder, but I think it works out better if you break down the math. Like on 100K for an e-com company, typically it's, I don't know, like 10% net margin, 10 to 20 if you're lucky. So it's 20K a month in free cash flow. But for the 10K a month in affiliate, that's just free cash flow. So that's about half of your core product or core revenue source in just free cash flow. I think that's, doing the math behind it makes more sense than if you talk about, you'll generate, I don't know, like 10 to 20K a month in revenue from affiliate. I think it's better to see it as it's 10 to 20K in free cash flow every month to you in your pocket. That's like much easier. So yeah.
And it's also like not a lift for them. It's like, just plug us in and we're going to go and make this happen. And that free cash flow shows up on your, P&L. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm curious on how you structure these relationships. Like, do you guys come in, is it at a percentage, or what does that look like from, take a rake off of what you produce for them, or how does that work? Or what do you got? Or are you buying portions of the company with this? And so it's like a longer term kind of, symbiotic relationship.
So our contract states that we just take 50% of whatever we generate, and we own the content, or we own the IP to the content we create, and the subdirectory is like pretty much 50-50 split with us. It's in a very aggressive contract, but we've been burned in the past where companies just try to get out of it after you start generating some good revenue. So in the health tech startup example, when they're only making 15K a month, they don't really care that they're splitting, they're paying some Chinese guy in Vancouver 7K a month. But when it's 200K a month that they're paying to you, then they'll start looking at the line items like, how the hell do we cut this guy loose? But
Yeah.
then you put in certain barriers. Like, for example, we have a custom rate card with Amazon. So if they were to go with their own Amazon account, they'd take a like 4x
Instant loss.
They'd divide their revenue by 4 right away overnight. So there's like certain things you set in place that you have to communicate like very upfront. It's a very hard balancing act as well. Very hard.
For sure. I bet the client, man,
people are
do
savages.
you treat them as clients? Oh, dude, 100%. I mean, when it gets to those numbers too, right? It's like if you take them from 15 to like 200K, I can imagine they're going to be just, trying to claw back as much as they can as possible. So, but I mean, have you thought about just going in and like, purchasing these? I know that's like immediately probably what comes to mind, but they have these stupid valuations is probably what it is. It's like they want fucking 10 million for 15 grand of MRR. But I'm curious, like, how you're thinking about that, or is that something on the time horizon? Because I know I can't think of his name. Is it Dooley, who's out of the UK that buys like portions of? He does this in more like traditional companies like HVAC and like local service businesses. But from my understanding, he basically goes in, he buys like 20% of it, and so then then layers on this growth lever, this arm, and they just kind of plug into their marketing solutions. I'm curious kind of how you're thinking about it long term to mitigate that risk, and then also is like better business models that you're seeing come out of this.
Yeah, I think percentage is smart with Dooley, but I believe he only works with local service businesses. So what he does is, let's say I have an asset, I have a website that ranks for a Vancouver realtor, and then I'd partner up with a Vancouver realtor, buy a piece of that person's company, and then every time this realtor generates revenue, I got a piece of it, and you also rank for it. So it's kind of like a nice little flywheel. But for us, owning a piece of these like legacy media or a piece of these VC funded startups or a piece of these e-com brands doesn't seem feasible. I've explored that in the past. I'd have to raise money. Like, for example, if I wanted to create a publication to go after Forbes Advisor, dude, only thing that that can compete would be like BuzzFeed. And to take BuzzFeed private is like 30 million
Impossible.
or something like that.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, what do you mean? I do okay, but not nowhere close to 30 million. It's
Totally.
like, you know what I mean? I
totally,
even
100%.
if I raised money for it and I'd have to put in my own, it's just the risk is not my appetite for risk isn't what it used to be. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
That's a great segue. I'm curious how you got into this world. I feel like everybody kind of somehow accidentally ends up here. My initial kind of entrance was doing Amazon affiliate sites for this like degenerate media company back in like 2013 when it was just like easy and you could rank for like best binoculars and that type of shit. But I'm curious how you ended up in this world.
I was engineer by trade, but then I hated it so much, so I just Googled how to make money online, found Black Hat World, super savage forum. I do not recommend checking that out. And started drop shipping and found success there. Eventually started buying up affiliate sites, completely decimated, by the way. I was just looking back on my portfolio. I spent hundreds of grand in these affiliate sites. They're all at zero right now, like all at zero. So
100%.
Glad I diversified, but just start off in drop shipping pretty much.
No, that's great.
Got lucky.
Best thing I ever did was I had all these blogs and then we're just monetizing them, traditional ways. Realized really quickly, I was like, I feel so afraid because this demonetization can happen so fast. And like literally in like, these recent updates, we've had sites just get absolutely clapped. But, my dumbass accidentally made software products that like fit those audiences earlier on. And so got, helped mitigate that risk. But like, if you're listening to this now and you're just doing content, how do you layer on some type of component that you have total control over that's like an actual real product that's not just, this affiliate game or whatever that is? Because it's so scary. Again, your appetite for risk changes. If I was 20, I'd probably be doing the exact same thing still, but just a different world. So
yeah, I think if I were to mitigate that risk right now, I think you're onto something with the scaling the short form content that you mentioned on X. And another thing I've like written down to talk about is like most large or funded startups are underutilizing Reddit right now. I don't know if people
100%
are,
agree.
dude, it's insane. There's
It's
a
crazy.
couple things that like people need to know is um first and foremost, reporters scour Reddit for the next news story because they're running out of ideas overnight. So if there's
Totally.
any way to get reporter eyeballs onto these, like onto your startup, you're going to get reported on. So you just need to spin it in the right way. So the SOP is you just come up with like a PR friendly piece. I don't know, like if you're a health tech startup, just talk about consumption of Big Mac over time or something like that. Post that on
Totally.
your, I don't know, JackieChow.com/Big Mac, and then make that go viral on Reddit via either sketchy or
Oh my
realistic
God.
ways. You just buy upvotes,
Yeah. No, but my
you
audience
get reported
prefers
on that.
sketchy. So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you want to do this too, reach out to me. We can between the two of us, we can probably put you in touch with
Yeah.
people we have this team in, I think they're in Italy. I actually don't even know. I've only talked to them through WhatsApp, but basically they game it so that they like make it rise as the east coast of the US is waking up, and then it
Mm-hmm.
basically like hits that top, and then they can it sails through the whole day of like a subreddit. But I didn't even think about it as doing like, basically this what do they call it, like journalist style piece of
Yeah.
content that's basically just
Yeah.
a link
Digital
magnet.
PR. Yeah.
Yeah, the digital PR play, but using Reddit as the vehicle for that initial distribution. What we've been experimenting with is like all of our niche edits, we just point back at these pages. So we
Mm-hmm.
like work with a client. We're like, yo, we're just gonna like, do statistics type pages that are related to whatever your software is, etc. We, write all this like long form content that it's like more like, low search or keyword difficulty, but like, bottom of funnel, very very close. And then all of our link building is basically to these statistics or whatever, these link magnet digital PR pages. But I mean, fuck, you could just get journalists to basically link back to this article using the strategy that
Exactly.
you're talking about.
It's crazy.
Fascinating,
And
man.
you tap on like outreach to journalists at the same
Yes,
time as your Reddit post is going viral. You can just
totally.
even link to it on Reddit, and then journals will pick it up even harder. Because if you're just a
Fascinating.
random, just
Yep.
be like, hey, our article is trending on Reddit right now. And the type of traffic you get from Reddit is insane, by the way.
It's crazy.
Because
It's
there's
crazy.
several times where I've gotten to front page of Reddit just by buying upvotes, by the way. Like these services, all they resell is just upvotes. I highly
Totally.
recommend your audience to just test buying upvotes. I think it's like 10 upvotes per 10 cents or something like that. It's
Insane.
dirt cheap.
Do you have a
Dirt cheap.
distributor you like using, or who's your broker?
Yeah, I like using Upvote Shop. These guys are
Okay.
pretty solid.
Nice.
But like obviously if you push too hard, you're gonna get your
Of
account
course.
banned. Obviously, farm
Yeah,
out
use a burner,
100
whatever.
Yeah. But it's insane the type of traffic. I had one statistics article get I think 500K views in 6 hours just from getting the front page, and then I got clapped. But then I've already got like I think it was like 15 links in that time, hundreds of
Insane.
thousands of views on that article, and it's such a
Insane.
nice it's a good signal to Google as well. So that article started
Yes.
ranking on Google afterwards.
Fascinating.
Because yeah, especially because of you have to understand there's like a partnership between Reddit and Google right now. So
Yep.
in my opinion, I think there's like a direct data stream, like a click stream between Reddit and Google. So I think
Totally.
it's a really nice signal for Google organic search. Yeah, it's insane.
Shoot, I lost you for a second. I think you're back now.
Yeah.
All
My
chilling.
bad, my
Well,
bad.
my editor Kenneth cut here and just make it so that we go back into it. I think it'll have everything that you just said. So, so I'm curious. Did you see the Hrefs video that just dropped? I think it was like 2 days ago, and it was talking about what was he saying? Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but it's totally related to this. Basically Chrome is including clickstream data within like their ranking factors. I feel like that 100% has to be happening, that data stream that you're talking about on the Reddit to Google side, because they can know like, oh, this is like valuable search content that's related. I feel like this is actually their way of mitigating what's happening with like, you know, ChatGPT and all this AI stuff. They're like, oh, instead of having to like build out this chat product, we'll just like lean on, you know, user generated content, look at the clickstream data, and we know that we can get these answers. But I'm curious your thoughts there and what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's confirmed. They definitely use Chrome data. It was in an algo leak this like last couple of months, so
Totally.
it's confirmed unless they changed in the past in the last couple of months. But yeah, I'm running some tests right now with pop under traffic, and it's working well. But yeah, I'm not sure if your audience likes to get into the thick of things, but yeah, pop under traffic is
Yeah,
working
they're all like heads
superbly
of
well.
growth, heads of marketing, and founders. So any you know arb that they can find, they're going to lean on it. I mean, what you just said with the Reddit thing for like digital PR, you're probably going to have like, I'm guessing at least 20 to 25 people reach out to you to try to do this as their like link building strategy. But can we break down this digital PR piece more further? Because I think for a lot of people, they don't really understand this concept and like why we're having to do this more and more as an effective way to build links at scale, especially for early stage companies. And you know, just to frame this, like if you're a brand new domain and you start out, you know, at a DA of 0, the likelihood that you're going to be able to rank for the keywords that are actually valuable to your brand is like, you know, impossible basically. But the amount of links that you're going to have to build to even like get to that scale fast enough for it to make business impact is, I mean, it's just going to take like traditionally hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the strategies that we're talking about here with the digital PR is basically like you're making a, you know, piece of content that is naturally going to have journalists gravitate towards, which then they take and they put on these publication websites. And that's really kind of like, you know, the high level, but anything else that I'm missing or that I should, you know, we should be talking about in relation to this?
Yeah, maybe we could run through like an example. Let's say I want to start a competitor to, like a real estate directory like Redfin or something like that. And I have very low budget. We don't have the budget to compete with them. What I do is probably come up with an article that is saying something along the lines of, it works very well, by the way. It's like saying, Colorado is becoming increasingly impossible for like the average person to own real estate in. And then you just have a bunch of public data, paint this beautifully, get this on the front page of, I don't know, the r/r Denver or
/r
like
Colorado. Yeah. I mean, I feel like
Colorado,
you can get that to rip.
so on and so forth. By hella upvotes. By the way, mods aren't looking in these local subdirectories or subreddits because it's too small for them to care. Get it to the front page of them, make it stick. Done. You're gonna pick up links just from that. It's 100%. That simple for local. But if you want to go national, it's much harder. So like, I don't know, just say, here are the states in like colored wise. Here are the states that the average person can't own real estate in. Like, and then obviously New York, Cali, will be highlighted, but then there's going to be some in-betweeners that are highlighted that
shocking to people.
Shocking to people. It drives a certain like reaction, and journalists love posting about it. So it's like,
I think what you're doing is, it's funny. I just recorded a podcast before this talking about the short form social stuff, and it basically had this kid Desmond on who just goes deep on like how they're using it to basically get free app downloads. They took this app from like 0 to 100,000 active users in like 6 months, just entirely with organic social on Instagram. It's the most insane shit ever. But this feels really kind of related to it of like, hey, you have to create like a novel thing that is entertaining and like has a virality component built into it. And it's just like, it's that same, you know, core high level idea, but applied in different ways, right? Like on the short form social, you're doing that, you know, with these like consumable video pieces of content. But what you're describing is the exact same thing, but it's like, oh, this is it's just a link magnet tool, right? But we're using that same idea of like a journalist is going to think this is interesting because they know that their audience that they're going to distribute this to is going to find it interesting. It's going to get them clicks. They're going to make more revenue off of it. And that's why it's like symbiotic, and they can actually, you can basically profit off of this. Are there other ways that you're seeing this digital PR be effective, like, or other tactical things that you guys are doing? I mean, you mentioned this earlier, so maybe I'll surface this before we move on to that. But you were talking about, okay, you get this to rank, you get this to rise within a subreddit on Reddit. You then go take that, cold email that out to journalists. Like, you go find every journalist that's in Colorado that works at a news publication, traditional news pub, send that to them. And it's like, that's just going to naturally, basically amplify the thing that you already did. So instead of getting whatever 10 to 15 links, that ends up getting 50 links. Are there things like that you're doing? Are you, or like, is it just cold email? Or are you cold DMing them as well? Or like any of these other tactical things?
I think cold email is probably the most scalable right now because there's so many scraping tools online to get the journalists' details. But obviously, you could just plug it in because all these data sources have like their socials as well. So what's stopping you from cold DMing them, following them, or DMing them on LinkedIn, X, so on and so forth? Like, there's nothing stopping you. It's just another tack on. It's just more costs if you have to warm up a couple accounts on LinkedIn and X at the same time. You know what I mean?
Totally.
You could also be a savage and just like kind of raw dog your own account, but probably not recommended.
Not worth it at the scale. Probably. You just had this, my friend on this show, he owns this company called Drippy AI. You should check it out. They can do cold DM on Twitter at scale.
Yeah,
and I know that they can do filtering for like journalists. So that could be a vehicle for this as well. It's like, do the Reddit strategy. So again, just to break this down, like build a piece of linkable content. So again, statistics pages, something like that that is going to be a link magnet. Then you go post that on a smaller subreddit. You buy the subreddit upvotes. You ride that wave. You then take that Reddit URL. You then cold email all of the journalists in your area, and you cold DM them on X. And that's probably the only strategy you would need to get this thing absolutely rip.
Yeah, that is crazy. But the one thing I've noticed is this is only good it's not good for conversions. You're not going to get like app signups. You're not going to get users from this. You're getting backlinks from this. So you need to emphasize that. The way to get clients, let's say I just raised, I don't know, $1 million to go after HubSpot. There's no way you're going to outbid them on Google search on like paid ads. So what I'd actually do is also on Reddit. If you Google best CRM Reddit, go into the Reddit post, comment your own startup, be like, yo, watch, my newest startup, or like, I don't know, I've been using this startup lately. It's been much better than HubSpot. And then you just buy upvotes on that. The amount of signups you're going to get from that, you'd be surprised. Good example is if your audience wants to go search a best VPN Reddit and then go into every single post like that, you'll notice it's either the Cape group, which is ExpressVPN, or a NordVPN shill.
Totally.
It's
and just
insane.
To visualize what Jackie's talking about here, like people search for best CRM Reddit, right? Search volume 210 a month, nothing crazy, but still best CRM. Also, Reddit ranks for this, which is also just insane. And we should
just go
talk about this as well.
That. Yeah.
But I mean, there's a whole play here probably on the parasite SEO strategy. And I know you're doing a ton of this in public, so maybe we can talk through that as well, of like using Reddit as this way to compete against, again, this example of HubSpot. But man, I didn't even think about that too for these early stage companies. Like it is, you could just do that comment piece of just like, oh, you're now on page one. It's like, I used to do this with Quora actually. I'd find, I'd use SEMrush to find top ranking Quora questions for like keywords that were related to like bottom of funnel, whatever software, like I'm trying to do X or whatever. And then we'd go in and I have an aged core account that's just gangster. And I basically just like write this like answer and then link out to the software from it. And a couple of these like early tools that I initially built, I don't even know if this would work anymore. I don't think it probably would, but I think you could use that same strategy with Reddit. This is kind of a perfect segue into this parasite SEO thing. Can we talk about this and how like, again, a startup or early stage company could use this tactic to kind of take over the front page? So I feel like the core ones right now are like LinkedIn Pulse, Medium, and Reddit. Are there any other ones that you're seeing? And then could you just break down like what parasite SEO is for the audience?
So Parasite SEO is pretty much where you can post your own article onto another website. And the goal is to rank for your target keyword and piggybacking off of that site's existing SEO strength. So hence why you mentioned like LinkedIn Pulse. If I'm able to, I might not be able to rank for best SEO company nationally with my own website because it's weak, but with LinkedIn Pulse, maybe, so that's the whole premise behind it. I think the strongest one, if you're in the consumer side, probably Reddit. If you're on the B2B side, more LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is getting absolutely pummeled with articles right now. So I don't feel very bullish about it. The best Parasite SEO targets right now are the private ones where they don't publicly advertise their articles. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole like underground dark world of paid guest posts, quote unquote, on these national, like massive websites. Like Forbes, everyone knows you can pay like 4 or 5K for your own article. You can be featured Cody Schneider on Forbes tomorrow for 5K. But people don't know that you can get on Wall Street Journal, you can get on TechCrunch. With a big enough budget, you can get on any like PR, like any newspaper out there right now. And yeah, if your audience is curious, all I recommend is browsing the Swapped forum. It's insane. Like the stuff that
I'll drop it in the link below for people to take it out.
Yeah, it's
I feel like
insane.
that's such an ego hit, dude. It's so funny to me because like I don't know. Again, working at these companies, they're like, "Oh, I got in Forbes, right?" And it's like they send it out to their mom and their their parents and their like family and stuff, and it's like this made zero business impact, like full stop. That's a no follow backlink that they included. The journalist just needed a story, and that's the only reason that this exists. And yeah. I think for a lot of people, they don't realize that that's even happening, especially if it's just like the advisor stuff, right? Where it's like, this person is basically middlemanning a post, they're charging you 15 grand to be on a Forbes, and then they, are paying them 6,500 or whatever to actually do that publishing. So,
but
it's ridiculous.
I think to go back to the Parasite, the best performing ones are the highest priced ones because not everyone can just jump in.
Makes sense.
So yeah, just take it
gotcha.
how
so the
you
barriers
can.
to entry make a higher quality content barrier because you're going to only like publish good stuff. So the content quality is higher. It still has the domain authority. That makes total sense. So it's going to like longer term, it's probably a better investment because it's going to rank more effectively in the long run.
Exactly.
Because of that limitation.
Just do Reddit. Reddit is free.
Exactly.
Just do Reddit. If your audience likes cheap and free, Reddit is insane. One example is, if you can start up and farm up your own subreddit right now, what people don't realize is people actually search in the subreddit bar. They use Reddit as a search engine. So,
oh my God.
And ranking on Reddit is so easy because it's just recency and upvotes. So if you just post the same article every single day, best VPN, buy 10 upvotes, 20 upvotes on your own subreddit that you control, it's over. It's done.
You can rank within it. Oh my God. We used to do this in Pinterest. I was doing this work for they're like a bathtub and like shower based manufacturer.
Yeah.
Like all dirt on the fingernail, disgusting business. They're my favorite. But what we do is we just like take these like render photos, and then we would make like hundreds of different pin variations based off of it. And then just keyword stuff them because Pinterest doesn't give a fuck about this. And all you would need is repins for that pin to rank. And so you could just run like $100 in ad traffic to it. And then it would rank for that keyword phrase that you were trying to target. But we had like, imagine the entire front page of like best shower base for RV, right? And like every one of the pins, they all would look different, but it would all be linking back to the same piece of content, just different variations of it. I haven't done this in a while, so I don't know if this would still work, but this feels like the exact same like strategy. So it's hilarious.
Exactly. It's I think same premise. It's an easy one right now. Reddit is cracking down heavily on it, but it's like, what can they do? You just have to be careful with linking out. If you do brand mentions, they can't do anything. if
Yep.
that makes sense. So instead of
Yep. So it's not
linking
a
to
link. It's just like
NordVPN, it's
saying your
just,
brand. Yep.
yeah, it's that easy.
There's this newsletter strategy that I saw recently. I've been trying to find it in the background while we've been talking, but I couldn't find the name of it. It's something like Startup Wizard Hacks or something. It's some ridiculous name, but long story short, what he does is he takes podcasts like this, and this is how we
Mm-hmm.
discovered it, is because they took an episode where I had my friend Nick on, who talked about like, sending 1.5 cold emails a month and like how he was doing it. They just took the episode, they turned it into a transcript, turned it into a blog post, published it on the SaaS subreddit, then had a call to action at the bottom to subscribe to the newsletter for more content like this. And literally if you go back to his whole profile, every one of them was doing the exact same strategy. And all of the list acquisition was basically that whole thing. So like using your same tactic of buying upvotes to go, viral within it. But because the post, was, and like thinking about architecturally, like that whole process, right? Like you're basically having AI write about content that already exists. So you're just repurposing the content. So that's like the logistics there is nothing. The lift is nothing. You're publishing it as a newsletter. You're just taking that same copy and you're putting it onto the subreddit, buying the upvotes, linking out to it. And that is like how they're building all their subs to the newsletter. I mean, you could do that with 100 different newsletters, get them to 100K. And like right now we're seeing on the market, you can sell, especially these business newsletters, for like 1 million to 1.5 if you have 100K subs on it that are business related. So again, just another huge
I've actually done that strategy before.
No way, really?
You only get a couple hundred max. I think the most I've ever gotten was like 100 subs. But I guess if you stack those, if you're able to scale it up. So
he was doing a post a day. And again, it's just like, because the AI is writing the content that he's publishing, like probably what they do is they have a team of people that are just scouring, or even just a person, for like what's the most viral content within a category that's long form. So I mean, if you're doing one of those a day and saying getting 300 a day, I mean, that's 10K subs, 10 months, you got 100K, flip it for $1 million. Like, fuck, I do that all day long.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up an example. Yeah. Here's an example let me send it in the chat. But like if your audience searches Jackie Chow, just find my Reddit handle and you'll see my shameless plugs. It's
I'll
I
link it
literally
below
just
for
rewrite.
people.
Yeah, I just literally rewrite news I see on X, publish it in a subreddit like Entrepreneur, and then at the bottom I have a call to action. I think if you guys search through my history, you'll see I've done it like several times. Like,
fascinating.
And you only need to buy like 20 upvotes, and then if it's good enough, you'll hit a traction. Like I've had a couple with 1.2K upvotes, 300K views. It's insane.
Totally. That's so interesting. Sweet, man. I feel like we've talked about like so much random stuff. Is there anything that you're excited about that's kind of like you see on the horizon from just the content? Like, I guess, and really a bigger question is like, how are you thinking about AI and how it fits into content writing? I feel like everybody has their own opinions on this type of stuff. I mean, and you're publicly like, yo, we're getting clapped intentionally to understand like the reasons why. My current theory is that Google is giving priority to like sites that are real companies. Like, as an example, we did this test where we had like just like a general affiliate blog, just like a content site. And then we did another site that like had like basically a sign up flow so that it felt like a web application. Like if you looked at like the code, it would look like that, right? Same type of content, built the same type of links. And what we found is that the site that looked like a real company and like it had a product ranked more effectively. I'm curious what you've seen on that front, and like, where do you feel like, even these niche sites go based off of all the data that you guys are touching?
Oh, I mean, your traditional niche site or affiliate site is like completely decimated in the next couple of years. There's no chance they come back. There's no comeback from this. So I think the best way is to have your own core products as, I don't know, like let's say you have your own SaaS and then have an affiliate blog on that SaaS blog. That's the only way I can see it happening now. It cannot be your core product because Google can detect that now. So best sites right now in search outside of Reddit is like, I would say e-com companies are doing very well in search.
Totally.
And SaaS companies are doing all right, because SaaS companies are already pretty savvy in this sense. But I work in the consumer space. I know you're in B2B
Yep.
space. So B2B SaaS is king.
Yep.
But B2C e-com
We do
sites.
some work, or we're just starting to move into the e-com space. We started this new company called Landing Cat. That's like basically we can build out like, you know, tens of thousands of Shopify collection landing pages at scale based off of the long tail keywords related to the product catalog. So we ingest the product catalog, and then we can like go find just the product catalog and just the Search Console
Hmm.
data, and then basically pair like what is the good products for each of these. Looking at,
Yeah.
okay, what are they not ranking for, but they're getting impressions for currently,
Hmm.
and maybe, you know, like filter on what's page 2, page 3. We spin up a page and we see like overnight we can, you know, basically get these pages to go up. So anyway, starting to do more on the consumer side of stuff. But I agree on I think the ecom sites we're seeing be really successful just from like, you know, the ability to go after these search, especially when it's like collection pages, right? Because it's like, yo, if I
Yeah.
search best XYZ product and I land on a page that's best XYZ product, and then I buy that thing, like that whole search journey is very like, you know, cohesive. Like all the signals are
Yeah.
there for Google to have that, to trust that search. Anyway, sorry, total digression, but it's just the things that you know, we've been seeing and kind of been on top of mind. That what's funny too is, and you'll love this. So we built all this out so that it's like extremely just like lightweight. So like, you know, cached like locally to, you know, globally, like to all these different data centers, and then also just like it, you know, basically loads instantly. And so what
Hmm.
we can get with this is like basically like with the crawl budget that Google allots us, like, you know, thousands of these pages to get seen because it's so much like
Oh, I
such a
see.
minimal amount of crawl budget. So I think that there's going to be this play, and like I'm just imagining with what you guys are doing of like, okay, we could go and build this subfolder, and then within that we're doing like, you know, some type of headless pages, and then we go and we spin up all of these different pages at scale, but we're going to be able to get them to get seen faster because it takes less crawl budget basically for them to,
Hmm.
you know, to get into space. But anyway, yeah, just
Yeah.
random
I
stuff
think
we're seeing on the
one
front
thing
lines.
I will note from my findings is sites where I push less articles are less likely to get hit by Google in this
Totally.
current day and age. So I found the sweet spot is, I think you can no longer can do thousands of articles a month, unfortunately. So you have to kind of drip in the early hundreds. So like 200 a month max is what I'm seeing.
We're
Even if
seeing the
it's
same.
humanized, by the way. If you humanize 1,000 articles a month, you still get hit.
Yep.
So humanized meaning you have a real human on the other end rewriting and editing, formatting. It doesn't matter
Yep.
because
Everything.
it's just too spammy. But if
Yep.
it's like 50 to 100 a month, you're golden. So I think that's
Yeah.
like this current sweet spot, subject to change. If you're watching this in the future, don't message me if you get hit with 50 articles a month. This
For
is as of
sure.
now. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. Our strategy right now is we basically take what's ranking currently, put it into a context window, right? Based on top of that, take that AI article and then have
Mhm.
a human come over and polish it. And then basically publish, you know, do the indexing process, et cetera, whatever. We're seeing that work again. This is all changing so
Mhm.
rapidly, and I don't think anybody actually knows where any of this is going. But yeah, again, stuff we're seeing, you know, kind of work on the front lines wise. But man, I love this your PR strategy though as a link building strategy. It's fucking brilliant, honestly. Just to circle back to that, are there other digital PR plays that you're seeing work? I know there's tons of people that are talking about this on YouTube currently of like, you know, I know some that just make these articles and then they'll, you know, email whatever, you know, 1,000 different journalists to try to get them to pick it up. And if one of them picks it up, then they all pick it up is like the strategy. But I'm curious if there's anything else that you're seeing.
Um, well, I've been running a couple case studies in the background on digital PR services. And funny enough, some of these service providers, they're kind of like scammy. They don't even actually come up with good. They'll come up with the idea, but the idea isn't good enough to go viral, pick up PR. So what they do is they just buy links into those pages. So it's kind of like
Oh, fascinating.
it's kind of savage. Um,
Yeah.
but I guess if your audience wants to run a digital PR company and is unable to be that creative, you could sell this to unsuspecting victims, quote unquote. But it's yeah, I think it's not that hard to take it a step further and just to
Yeah,
run
run the
something
ops on it.
legit. You know what I mean?
Do you
Yeah.
guys have a service that's offering this, like that digital PR strategy? Like I know these
No, it's too high effort.
this company. Yeah, totally. To
It's
coordinate
super
it.
high effort. Like, let's say
Yeah.
to come up with a new idea for each client, it's
Yeah.
hella bespoke. You have to do outreach every single time, which is easy. Buying upvotes is easy, but the ideation stage is just it's just not worth it. These campaigns cost. I mean, some of these guys are charging only 5K for that.
Yep.
Dude,
That's crazy.
that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time for 5K. I don't know. Personally, I think I can leverage my time to make more money elsewhere. But I guess,
sense.
yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. So I want to talk about YouTube. It's like part of this audience is like, you know, they build digital like agencies, right? I think that you have been like a perfect example of like, I just went ham on YouTube for a year and like it basically, you know, tripled my agency. Can we just talk through the mechanics of that, of like how, like what, first off, why it works? Because I think there's like this piece of like you build trust at scale when you just show up and it's your face giving them value day after day. Like what that, like how do you translate that into like really bridge that gap to selling your service? And then like what is the business impact that you've seen? And like personally, I'm, you know, about 6 months ago we made the decision like YouTube is the most important social media that's going to exist because people watch it literally on their TV in their living room. Like, you know, Tucker Carlson brainwashed my grandmother doing that. Like you're telling me that I can just show up in people's houses every night. How do I do that myself? Right. But anyway, I'm curious your thoughts on YouTube and like what's been the impact and why have you invested there as a distribution channel, and why should every agency be doing this as well?
Yeah, I think the best. So you know how in every one of those landing pages with an offer, there's a VSL, like a video sales letter.
Yeah.
Imagine you can get in front of the same person every single day for, I don't know, whatever cadence you're able to do. My returning viewership is 73%. I don't get many views. Like I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I get a 1K view per video. That's pretty weak in all sense, right? If someone comes across my channel, they're like, "Oh, look at this cute."
So easy though.
They're like, "It's such a cute YouTube channel. Like, look at this bespoke guy." You know what I mean? But like, they don't know that in the last year, directly attributed from YouTube, it's like 500K in profit. It's insane.
It's insane.
But this comes it's based off of the niche. This wouldn't work in, I don't know, if I'm farming, you know, or if I'm talking about raising dogs. Like this only works in the B2B space. So
totally.
Some like numbers in the last 28 days, I got 46K views from my videos, like overall in my entire channel. 46K, if you were to pay ads for that at like $10 CPM, that's like 4 or 5K, right? So
you got that for free.
It's equivalent to 4 or 5K ad spend. It's for free. The customers trust you so much because you keep showing up and providing value every single day, and they see the effort you're putting in.
Think about the ad spend side, because like you can't even target these people, right? Like YouTube organic is going to get in front of the right people that are going to find this extremely valuable way more effectively than you could ever target them through their own ads, like paid ads targeting. So and you're actually getting a better customer, even though like even at a lesser, even though it's a lesser volume, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And in our industry, people are digital natives. They're super they're against ads. They're resilient to ads. So organic works so much better on them. So it's like, it just works perfectly in the B2B space. So if anyone ever runs a B2B SaaS company, I think you just got to get started on YouTube. It's a no brainer. It'd be stupid not to, actually, at this point.
Totally agree. I totally agree. I'm curious.
I think the only downside is it works well for us. No racism or anything, because we have like an Americanized accent.
Yeah.
Like but if my family in Taiwan is slinging these videos in English, there's no way they're getting any views. Like I'm gonna keep it a buck. You know what I mean?
Totally.
There's no way. Like no racism aside.
I bet you could voice change though. I'd be curious.
Yeah,
Have you
I bet you
like use
can.
11 Labs? It's like it's them talking, right? But it's like you're
Hmm.
doing a voice change over it. So fucked up, but it's true. I mean, I've seen data. It's like the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I think that there's probably ways around it. But the so the content that you choose to create there, like, how do you think about that? Are you just doing like, I mean, it feels like you're doing like public case studies, and then you're just like, yo, here's the data. Like, here's all the
Hmm.
numbers. Here's the data. Is that what it feels like on your side, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed over time because I've been doing it for what, dude, like 300 something days.
That's
It
crazy.
is so hard, by the way. Keeping
It
up
is
with.
so.
So in the beginning, it was free advice, like tip of the day, super
Yep.
easy. But then you run out of tips
Yep.
because, whoa,
Or you're
how
just
are you gonna
repeating
give?
them.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to repeat them. And then you start doing case studies. Case studies is easy because there's something to talk about every single day. But then SEO is so slow for case studies. So now what? Now I'm doing like service reviews, which people seem to like, but that's also rough. I don't know. I'll figure something out in the future. Maybe I'll have to do like a code in public stuff in the future because my background's in engineering. That would be fun. Show
Totally.
people how easy it is nowadays. Because I mean, with ChatGPT, with like Copilot, like all these coding assistants, I think
You could
idiots
build
like
this.
me can probably get it going nowadays. Yeah.
Totally. Man, you know what I think could work for you is doing like exact match domains for like AI generator keywords. So I just
Damn.
copped AIinfographicgenerator.com for $10.
Yeah.
It has a search volume of 9,000 a month, and it's like skyrocketing. And I'm doing it. I'm just doing it as like I'm going to show like people are like, oh, you can't validate a business with only like Google ads. And I'm like, no, you fucking can. I'm going to do it in public just to show you. That's like the reason I bought it. But I'm just imagining like with your type of content could be that exact thing of like, yo, we bought this like exact match domain for a product,
Yeah.
and like the product doesn't even exist, but we got this to rank, or whatever, something like that. And like got our first sale or something. Anyway, just random thing it
Yeah.
stumbled
0 to
across that
1,
might be
right?
interesting.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, totally. Totally.
that's a good play.
What I
Yeah.
found
I've
is like
always,
people love,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I've always wanted to get into the AI space. I'm just so like adverse to going technical. And then to have like a technical co-founder is just rough because like the profiles of technical co-founders, I don't know if I jive with. It's a rough one.
I think you could go like offshore dev shop, like go hire. I have a team in Bulgaria. They're called HTML Burger. They're gangster, and like you're perfect for like what they look for. Where it's like you could come to them with like literally a Figma file, right? Be like, yo, build this. You have a Loom video talking over the flow. They'll basically build that whole, they'll do the 0 to 1 for you, and then at that point go hire a team member in like the Philippines or Argentina, right? That's just like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can get a senior engineer that just will pump out code for like 3,500 to 4K a month. They'll work full time in US
Yeah.
hours. And like I feel like you could, and then combine that with all of your marketing knowledge as well. Like I feel like it's game over. Like you could go and build these types of products at scale so effectively doing. I mean, that's literally my playbook, right? Like I'm not super technical.
Yeah.
Like I have a co-founder on this harder stuff, but like all of this tool stuff, like and a lot of them I don't even talk about in public because they're just like,
Yeah.
it's not interesting. It's like the small thing that like scrapes data or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for all of this stuff, it's like it's that exact playbook, right? Like dev shop to engineer full time, hire a customer service person to sit on top of it to do support, and like I mean, you've got a business right there for like, I mean, total costs out the door probably 5K a month, excluding whatever your server cost is. But I mean, it can run. So
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I've just gotta get off my ass and do it. It's yeah. No excuses.
no, I think there's a huge opportunity, but anyway, even just something simple like AI keyword research, generator or whatever, something like that, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, man. Well, dude, this has been so valuable. I know the audience is going to be like, holy shit, I just learned so much. Where, if they want to reach out to you, where can they find you, or where's the best place to contact you at?
X probably best. X.com/indexy. I guess you'll link it somewhere, or just search
Totally.
Jackie Chow, and then you'll
Amazing.
find me somewhere. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks for coming on, man. It's been awesome to host you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Hell yeah, man.